It's got a good like groove to it though.
Better start now. We got our new song, and I
Yeah.
surprised Jen with it. She's like, "Yeah, I like it." I don't know. I'm not sure if she clued in. It's all good. It's all good. What's going on, my friend?
Oh, just rocking and rolling over here. What's going on with you?
Well, not much compared to really you. Like, okay, I'm gonna just flat out answer it in the most straight. How's the baby making going? Like, we're all good. It's growing well.
Yeah, yeah, we're good. We're on track. Everything is as it should be right now. So,
Yeah,
growing rapidly. We're in that final phase. So, getting big and round and uncomfortable. But beyond that, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
status quo.
And that's just Dylan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not even me.
He's not even here to defend himself, but that's okay.
I know.
That's okay. Fun show. We got a fun show for everybody today. And if you've been following along over the last, few months, really, and in the last couple of weeks, KWRC has announced a new leadership team. And part of that leadership team is bringing on some key individuals and team leaders. And we have one of those today, and we'll get right to him in just a moment. And then Jen and I thought it would be really, really important to talk about Form 127 because it's always important. No, it is. I'm shaking my head. It's always important to understand our forms and how to use them. So we'll roll the intro and then we'll bring on our special guest just after that.
Let's do it.
Boom. So yeah, as I said, Jen and I, we're very fortunate to be part of a brokerage that is always constantly moving forward, wouldn't you say, Jen, and looking for new ideas and new things to add and always looking for talent. And we've been able to add to that talent pool over the last little while. And that's, we're going to bring on one half of the talent pool in a sense, our newest talent in just a moment. But Form 127, Jen, give us a little 15-second setup of what that conversation is going to look like.
Yeah, so for the conversation around the Form 127 is what is it? How do we use it? And why do we use it? Ultimately, that's kind of what we're going to dig into.
Perfect. Okay, so without further ado, we do have Nathan Graham, our new team leader here with us, and we're going to bring him on. And I've known Nathan for a number of years now, and I'm going to share a weird story on how we met right after we bring him on. How's that sound? Now I can see Nathan in the background. How did we meet? Here we go. All right, my man. Big smiles and all. There he is.
That was a new intro too. I noticed that, Gary.
Hey, now there we go. Now you're going to be on your toes the whole show.
I know. I know.
I like it. Nathan Graham, how you doing, my man?
I'm awesome. Again, how did we meet? Now I'm like racking my brain because I don't actually remember.
Okay, so here's the deal. I think it was just after family reunion, probably 3 or 4 years ago. One of the only family reunions I missed out on. I didn't go. And I still kick myself to this day for not going. However, Colin's like, oh yeah, you got to meet this guy, Nathan Graham. He calls himself the house dude or the house guy or the house something or other. And we'll get into that in just a moment. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And then I think we got connected on social media. And then I go show a property. This is when I was still selling homes. Oh, it's coming. I can see his face. It's coming. And I'm showing this property, Jen. I'm showing this property to some of my favorite clients, in fact, out in, I think it was Claremont. Nathan, I could be wrong.
I felt like it was like Uxbridge or north of, I don't know. It was an area I wasn't normally in though.
Yeah, exactly. And me too. So I'm showing this house and we're sort of getting ready to leave. I open the door, there's another realtor knocking on the door trying to get in. And usually I don't mind when other realtors are coming in. And I see this guy, I'm like, I know you. You're the guy. You're the guy I'm supposed to meet. And that's how we met. We met at a showing. And I don't think either of our
clients I was showing that day. I remember Marius and Rianne. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I know I've showed that house a few times. We didn't end up buying it. I don't know if you guys did.
Nope.
There you go. Wasn't the one. Wasn't the one. Needless to say, that's how Nathan and I met. And then Jen, you've just had the opportunity to meet Nathan in the last, few weeks in a sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we officially had our first proper meeting yesterday. Or yeah, was it yesterday? Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, our official meeting. So yeah, we're still getting to know each other, which is kind of cool to get the chance to do this interview and and push him back into a corner a little bit, see what we can get out of him.
Nice. Okay, so who's Nathan Graham? Who's that house guy? Where did all that come from?
So where'd I get the name from? So my wife used to we used to have these things called VHSs, and they recorded TV shows. And went into VCR. And one day, like years before, like things was in real estate, there's this comedian. I have no idea who he is to this day, but he was that Canadian guy, and that's how he was known on his handle. And I thought to myself, I want to be that something guy one day. and then I was in real estate, kind of doing what most people do for the first few years, trying to figure out where you want to go. And then I just decided, I remember we rewatched That Guy, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be that house guy. So that's how I actually got the name for That House Guy, because of that Canadian guy. And hopefully he never sees this, otherwise I'm going to get sued.
Get copyrighted.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Beautiful.
So I don't know you as well as Gary does, or for as long as Gary does, or even Colin did, but what was your backstory prior to real estate? Like, what led you to get into real estate and get your real estate license and kind of want to head in this direction?
Wow, that's a good question too. Okay, you're about to get to know a lot, because I do like this story. So I grew up in this will be relevant, because I grew up in a household with a lot of limiting beliefs. It was kind of like the kind of household that was like, hey man, my dad was like, if you get a union job, come an electrician, get paid 50, 60 grand a year with benefits, you're going to be laughing. And there's a lot of things I didn't complete. Like I never really graduated high school. I never really kept jobs. It was kind of that whole drifting thing. And I got married at the nice young age of 23, still married to this day, 14 years. And my wife was what we call responsible, and I was what we call irresponsible. So I came into the marriage with a lot of debt, and she came in with a lot of savings. And I worked for an authorized dealer for Rogers Communications. And I found that our savings kept going down while our debt kept going up. And I knew a guy by the name of Lawrence Scanlon. He used to own KW Renowned in the Oshawa area. And when I worked for Rogers, I was the rep for real estate offices. And so I saw the success Lauren had. And then one of the guys I was a rep for came into our store one day and said, dude, I sell new build homes. I have my real estate license. I work from 12 till 5 every single day, make over 100 grand a year. And I always golf and I drive that BMW. And I was like, shoot, I need that job. And so I went and got my real estate license, having no clue what it was. My parents lived down in the Bowmanville area. My wife's parents were going to retire. We were up in Collingwood at the time. My wife's parents were going to retire in Scarborough. So we took out an $18,000 line of credit. We quit our jobs. My wife is not licensed. I was licensed. We moved to Whitby and started real estate, because that sounds like fun.
Yeah. Wow.
That's how we got into it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big dice roll. I like it.
I didn't think so at the time, but now looking back, it was kind of stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Or very, very smart, because it's clearly worked in your favor. So.
Or very smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
That's
it.
crazy.
I think we all have similar stories to that, in a sense where we were maybe not Jen. Jen just knew real estate was the thing. However, no, I kid. It's always interesting. Yeah, but Jen knows my story really well, and the fact that, kind of like you in a sense, Nathan, although, I found myself in that almost unionized job, and then all those limiting beliefs it kept getting pushed down and farther down and farther down, because that's where my job led me to, and that's what type of people surround yourself with. And Colin says it, the new OP, and we're very familiar with this phrase. You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go. Yeah, I can tell you. I can tell
Yeah,
you want to
I
interject.
want
Go
to touch
for it.
on that 'cause I got to share a story because you're talking about that union job. I don't want to mention any company names, but I used to work for this company. A water bottling plant starts with I and ends with Ice River Springs.
Yeah, cool.
And I remember they were horrible to work for, and it was a factory. It was a factory job, and they would lay half the people off the day before you qualified for the Christmas bonus, and they called you back the day after you would have qualified for the Christmas bonus, right? And sure enough, I got laid off. I got called back. I remember a guy looked at me and goes, "Wow, it looks like we got a lifer here." I don't know what snapped in my brain that day, but I was like, hell no, I am not spending the rest of my life here. And so kind of that limiting beliefs thing, it's just funny that what snaps in your head, right? At those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
a trigger, right? You hear that and you're just like, no, that's not
Yeah,
gonna be
no.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that saying. Yeah, Gary, there were some similarities for sure in your story and in his story as well. And so Nathan, obviously now you've taken on the team leader role within the brokerage, which is more of a leadership and kind of a more of an advanced role within the industry. And so what led you down that path from sales and working with your wife and having your business and your team to kind of going, hey, I'm ready for leadership, right? I want a little bit more.
So I think I'm always nervous telling this part. I think in real estate, when real estate's kind of like a last ditch effort in life, it's also not really doing what you truly want to do. Right. And
Mm,
back when I first got into it, it was a job. And that's how I viewed it, was just getting a job. My whole life, to a degree, I kind of prepped for this side of things. Like when I started my real estate team, I wanted to start it not so much for the success in real estate, but to mentor and train people underneath me. I know when I first got into real estate, the KW I was at had some great systems, but also had some holes that allowed that people fell through. And there was always kind of a passion to figure out, how do we help those people, right? And one thing I love about KW, and I don't think a lot of people outside of KW or within the KW model realize this, but KW, doesn't matter if you sell 100 homes or 20 homes or 10 homes, a cap is a cap is a cap, and you're all worth the same across the board. And I love that idea because a lot of companies don't look at the least of the people versus the highest of the people. And a part of the leadership and growing the leadership under the KW system is we do focus on that. And the reality is, whether you're the top performing team or whether you just cap for your first time, on a dollar value, you're as equal value to that company back, which is kind of phenomenal thing. So that's kind of what led me down the leadership, and especially into the KW leadership. It just aligned with so many of those values, that core values that were already there. So
right.
Beautiful, beautiful. And if you're watching this today, drop into the comments there, say hi to Nathan and so forth. And we'd love to see that. We'll bring it on screen. And what I want to know too, Nathan, you got your license, and as Jen has, worked with so many of our newer licensed agents, that first year, no matter if you have success or don't, it is still a roller coaster. So you're in the industry. It's now been a year or two. How did you start seeing some clarity in your business or perhaps in your life from that perspective? I'd love to kind of get into that part.
Wait, sorry. So clarity, like which part, of the business side or the mindset side?
It's an open-ended question. You take it where you want it to go.
So I'll go off my first reaction, because my first reaction was, my mindset is vastly different now than it used to be. If you ever seen those, if you ever met someone who was brand new in the industry that went to someone who was 20 years in and gave that guy advice, that was me. I had that ego behind me, unfortunately. And my first year in real estate was like super rough. I went 9 months on one deal, and it wasn't like homes today. Keep in mind, my first house was $250,000 for like a 2,400 square foot side split. That was huge back in the day. That was my very first deal in 9 months. And I remember having to go apply to Future Shop and going for my second interview for a job. And we had a different mentorship program at the time. And we just ran out of our line of credit. That $18,000 line of credit literally hit zero. We had nothing. My wife was not working. I was not getting paid. We only had the one deal. And then I got the second interview from the job at Future Shop. And my mentor finally looked at me and said, dude, just do the work. Just follow up with your leads. I was open housing, but I wasn't following. He goes, just follow up. So That week, I took leads that were 2 to 3 weeks old that I was way too afraid to call before. But I'm like, well, what the heck? I'm about to go work at a future shop. I might as well call them. And I followed up with 2 to 3 weeks old leads, and I got my first listing and my first buy out of that week. And I realized that week I made more money than I would have 9, 10 months at the time at Future Shop. So that part, I get kind of the first part to building clarity around the business itself was just, it's not hard. Whatever you thought of, trust me, someone else has thought of, someone else has tried, and your first year is not the time to do it. You just get leads, follow up. If you do that, it'll be huge. So
I can see Jen just doing this the whole time. Yes, see, this is what I tell our coaching clients all the time. Just do it.
Yeah. My favorite part about this is one of them's gonna call me and be like, "I just heard Nathan say the craziest thing." I'll be like, "Yeah, that's about right."
I mean, there's no like, trust me, your ideas are very good. You're just not at a point in business to execute them yet. Like that website plan you have, that social media plan you have is a fantastic plan. Yeah. Just get the basics though. Build that database, get those people in, make those phone calls, do it, door knock, cold call, whatever you need to do, and it pays out. So
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, the attention is in the follow-up, or the details in the follow-up for sure. That's your life savings, your future is in that follow-up. I mean, we can say it so many different ways, right? I love it. Yeah. Okay, so following up with that, see what I did there?
Oh boy, that was a solid dad joke.
Thank you. Wait, hang on a second. There it is.
Hey.
Just for you. So where did that lead you to? So you got, you started seeing some business in that repetitive business, and maybe more importantly, Nathan, the way I would look at it is business that's sustainable. Right, you can see where that business is coming from next. So, what does that look like for you in those early years to kind of taking us into launching your team?
Yeah. So, okay. Remember that ego thing I was telling you about? I actually finished off the last 3 months doing 6 deals in my first year, 6 more. So I finished with 7 deals, which I felt was good, and I took that into year 2. And of course, that ego part kicked in, and I thought, I'm ready to start a team. And I did. I brought on a buyer's agent. I took a whole bunch of money, started buying leads because by the way, back in 2011, I think it would be, the internet leads were a new thing. Like it wasn't like today, right? I started buying all these internet leads, and oh my goodness, I got smushed again. And that's when I decided I wanted to join a team. Like I tried to start a team. It failed miserably. Unfortunately, I probably ruined some poor kid's life in the industry and any longer in it. So I decided to join a team and learn. So I went through a few years of joining 2 different teams. Both were great experiences, learned a ton. And then eventually I came out on my own. The best part is the first team I joined was very systematic, like in the office, 9 a.m., follow-up calls, lead gen, follow-up calls. You do that till 1 o'clock, and then you go do showings. So for about a year and a bit, I had that system down after with him. Then the second team I joined was customer service through the roof, man. Like this guy had trailers you could use. We started doing barbecue. Like I still do this now. We barbecue at every open house we do. We set up a tent, we set up a barbecue, we buy hot dogs, we barbecue at every open house. If a client needed you, you got there and you served them. Customer service was next level. And so I did that for about a year with that guy. And then I decided to branch out on my own. And that's where there's kind of no looking back. You kind of a lot more humble by that time, a lot better mindset. Started with the lead gen system to the follow-up to the customer service, and things started taking off from that point. So that would probably be about the first 5 years in the industry, 5, 6 years is kind of how that went. And since that point, I haven't really looked back and just kind of built the team up. So
yeah. It's funny when you look back, when you've been in the business a little longer. I know all 3 of us have been in the industry quite a while for your average agent. And when you look back at your trajectory, and there's just such clear growth patterns, right? When you're in it, you don't really see it happening. And then you kind of go, okay, my first year, my first 5 years, year 7, year 8, year 10, like there's all those different steps that get taken along the way. And I think sometimes people look and go, I want to be like Nathan, or I want to be like Gary, or whatever that is. And they don't realize how many losses you took, how many hits you took, how many mistakes you made to understand what you do to be where you are, right? So I love sharing those stories for that reason, because it kind of makes everyone realize they're on the same journey, their own path, but it's the same ultimate journey, right?
And I love that conversation around growth trajectory as well, because I find in growth, if I look back at my career, every time I took an income jump, right? So I went from 60,000 to 80,000 to 160 to 200, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I would sit at an income level for about a year and a half, and then I introduced something new. So the first time was introducing proper follow-up. That was a key one.
Yeah.
But then I introduced a team, and then I introduced coaching, and then I introduced something new. And so it's funny. It's like, even when you look back at that growth trajectory, if you've been sitting stale for, say, a year and a half, and you're almost getting bored, the introduction of something new, whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing, can definitely still make a big jump in that regard, right? So
Yeah.
let's see that growth. That was another fascinating thing looking back.
Yeah, it's like that ceiling that they talk about, right? It's like you learn the basic, the follow up, and the systems, like you said, and then it's like, okay, now I've hit my natural ceiling. So what comes next? And it was a team to get more exposure, and then what comes next? And then it's going out on your own, and then coaching, and then everything that's going to take you from your knowledge level now to where you need to be to kind of get to that next level. And we don't really notice even that pattern until you reflect on it, right? It's interesting. You don't see it when you're in it. You don't really put it together.
And again, one of those things you learn going outside of the KW system and then coming back to it, you don't even realize that KW has taught this the whole time. Like, we all talked about the achievement ceiling. Anybody who's been with the company for a couple of years know about it. You never actually know, like, or myself anyways, I was never aware when I was actually going through it that that's what I was doing. It was only in the reflection back, like, hey, I picked up that MAPS coach and I went from 180 to 220. Right. And it's not like you made a conscious decision. Oh, hey, look, I hit a ceiling, so I need to break through it. You just did something to add to your business, and then it broke through. Right. So.
Yeah, you were open to the opportunity, and it created that for you, right? It's Gary, it's reminding me of that John Maxwell video. I don't know if it's triggered that for you, that you played a couple of weeks ago on our office morning call, that he talks about that. He says, when you're in the stress and you're in the craziness, it doesn't make sense to you. There's no clarity around it. You're just surviving. And when you get out of it, if you take the time to look back and reflect, that's where you're going to learn the most, right? And it's kind of what we're talking about. It's like, when we look back in hindsight, it's like, oh, hey, when I did that happened. When I did that happened. But when you're in it, it doesn't feel like that. In fact, sometimes it just feels uncomfortable, right? And you're just kind of living in that, trying to figure out how to not be as uncomfortable all the time, basically. So yeah, I love that. It's such a true thing. And it also teaches us to slow down and look back, reflect, right? Like, learn the lesson before you move on. Don't just keep power balling through it. Like, stop and learn from it.
Yeah, I like it, Jen. And we also talk about, it's the same conversation with our new financial IQ. We made X this year, which was the most I've ever made. And now that becomes your new floor, as it were, right? And so I was just sitting here, I'm like, where's all these comments? And what's going on? I know people are commenting, but I'm not seeing any. Yeah, I didn't have that window up. So we've had lots of comments.
I was going to say, there's been like 4 or 5. I've been reading them.
Yeah. So quickly, we'll say hi to Stacy. Yeah, hi, everyone.
Hi.
And
Hi,
very
Stacey.
good. Michelle King, Secret Agent 99. I love it. I think she's referring to you, Nathan. Or there is a secret agent out there. I'm not sure.
Quickly, this one tripped me out because Michelle called me up and said Agent 99. I was the 99th agent hired at Keller Williams Energy. So that's where I came from. That's why if you see my KW jersey, it has 99 on the back. Everything like that.
Okay, I like it. It
That's
makes
awesome.
sense. It makes sense. Dina, from our conversation a while ago, I wish it was only 12 to 5. We can help that.
Amen, Dina.
We can help that, Dina. If you know me, I like protecting my time. Yeah, very good. Steph says, hey, Nathan, look forward to meeting you soon. Steph is awesome. You're going to love her, Nathan. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard about this awesome toy drive thing that I have to talk to her about too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She is amazing when it stuff like she's amazing. Anyways, what do we got? Mary Fernell. I love hearing Nathan's story. Yes, so do we. And it's very good. Very, very good. And what else we got here? This is from our conversation just moments ago. Yeah, gold implement one new thing to energize yourself and your business. That right there, that should be put on I don't know, on a building somewhere. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
New
Just one.
motivational poster in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. One new thing. That's it. I love it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, Nathan.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of your backstory, which I know not only Jen and I appreciate, but our agents and everyone else is going to really appreciate. What I'd love to hear too is how, we have a little quick video coming out over the next couple of days that you shot for us. But outside of that, I'd love for you to share, how you feel you're going to be able to implement and help and support our agents to grow their business. So I'd love to hear your insight there and what you kind of have in store or planned.
All right, perfect. Okay, so there's a lot of really cool things. Again, KW does that I just adore, like profit share. That's but one of my favorite. One of the big things, and please keep an eye out for it, probably within the end of November, beginning of December, we are reaching out to all the agents that you have done a deal with and inviting them for either training or coaching or a one-on-one session. And if they end up joining as a result, then we're going to send you a feedback. So let me back up. Sorry. When you do a deal, we want to send you just a quick 2-question survey. 1, was it a good deal? Did it go well? 2, would you like to work with this person? If the answer is yes, especially to the second one, then we're going to try to get them on board. And that will also go under your downline because it was your deal that helped that introduction and hopefully gave them a positive light in what's going on. So we definitely want to do that. 2, we are going to build culture. Before we get in the business side, we'll get there, but we are going to be building culture. We're going to be doing monthly social events. Keep an eye on the calendar. I'm a beer and wings guy. I just love to go out. Tons of times. I love getting lunches. So please keep an eye on the calendar for that. I'd love to connect with everybody that way. More importantly, the building your business. I've had the joy of 12 years in this industry, and I've had the joy of probably making every mistake that you haven't made yet. And I've made my fair share of them. The good news is we're going back and talking about growth. One thing I love about real estate is even a bad decision can really help you grow in a positive way. And so I can help take ideas with that. I can help build your websites, your lead capture, your Facebook internet leads. I have taught courses on building that side of it. I can help you work with the financials, can help you bring on a team. And I'm also on the verge of, I just have to go to the conference of becoming a certified Maxwell coach, John Maxwell coach. So I can definitely help you in the life coach goals, help you achieve where you want to go in those methods. So really, I just want to bring this awesome environment that we are rubbing shoulders with the best. We are helping you become the best, helping everybody build their downline. If you're not making 6 figures yet, we need to be in a conversation. That is my goal, is that every single person in this company makes at bottom 100 grand as a starting point. And I truly believe through experience, we can get that done. So I know that was like a whole lot of conversations, kind of a little bit all over the place to answer that question. That's really where I want to head to it. So.
I love it. I love it. And I love the passion behind it. And I think that's what people are seeing here, Nathan, is, we can give the 1 or 2 sentence answers, but when you can encompass it passionately like that, that's fantastic. And we have the tools in place. It's just a matter of us reaching out and grabbing them, right? With Nathan and Stevie and Jen and her coaching team and leveraging that. And there's some amazing things, even through our education calendar, Nathan, that I know you're going to leverage to the next degree, if you will, because there's some awesome stuff that's happening in there and some stuff that's happening in the background too. Like, we're just not all about, if you've been watching us over the last few months, it's just not about creating great real estate opportunities. It's about creating opportunities for you to move forward. Right, Nathan? Like, that's really what it comes down to.
And it's also about building who you are. So again, a really quick story, and I cannot stress this enough. Coming with my mindset into this industry, if you are not feeling confident in this industry, I've been right there with you. Believe this or not, I'm very well scripted. I scripted with a guy for 8 months every single morning, 5 days a week. John Gahais, he was a great guy, and I only built off scripting from there. My first year in real estate, I was in a small group and I got asked to role play a script, and I was so nervous I could barely put out a word. So like imagine who you're talking to now. I was asked to do a script and it was like my stomach would just swell up. I could barely vocalize words. It was like the most fear-inducing thing ever. How that guy got to this guy who can actually talk in front of people, it can happen. And I just like to tell that story because I thought I would never be able to have the confidence that I do in any appointment. So I can relate with that. If you are not feeling confident in your business, trust me, you have the team around you, you have the right people around you to make this work, and it will. And it can happen if you want it to. So
I love it. Okay, so apart from what we see on the screen here, what's the best way people can get a hold of you, reach out to you? What can they do?
Facebook, Instagram, Nathan Graham, you can find me there. TikTok, I have 12 followers. I don't want to brag, guys. I got 12 followers on TikTok. I would like to double that. Again, reaching for the sky. Send me a thing. I'll show me on TikTok. Text me. Stop by my office. I'm here pretty much every single day, except for when I go on vacation next week, because why not start a job and go on vacation? But I'm here almost all the time. So please reach out to me however you want. Email me. Heck, just if you're going for lunch, odds are I haven't eaten yet. So let me know. I'll go for lunch with you. So,
I like it. I like it, my friend. Well, thanks for dropping by this afternoon. And I do encourage everybody to reach out to Nathan. And it's got to be one of the most fulfilling roles as a team leader, as any sort of leader, to see the people that come and meet and we feed off of that energy, right, Nathan and Jen, and to see businesses grow, but more importantly, see relationships flourish and grow as well. It's phenomenal. So Nathan, we wish you a warm welcome. Awesome. And we'll do one of these. There it is. And
love it.
And thanks for being on the show with us today. We'll see you,
thanks for having me
soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Nathan Graham, everybody. Awesome stuff. Reach out to him.
I love it. What a cool story. It's always so cool to hear people's story of how they got here, right? Especially in general, but especially in those leadership roles, to kind of hear their journey and their challenges along the way that kind of created the path that they took. It's always, I don't know, it always fascinates me anyway. I think it's interesting.
No, absolutely right, Jen. Like we often think people in those types of roles, and you and I know firsthand it's never the case, that there has never been any obstacles. There's always obstacles. And more importantly, people like Nathan are willing to share those obstacles and also, where they may have messed up and how they overcame it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think ultimately the thing, if you can take away from it, is that if those obstacles hadn't have existed, he probably wouldn't be where he is now. I mean, he wouldn't be. There's no probably about that. He would not be where he is now, right? And so it's that failing forward concept and learning and that growth of it all. And it would be interesting to know, I haven't met an agent who's been in the business 12 years that hasn't had obstacles yet, at least up to this point. And I've been doing it for 15 years. So, I mean, if you meet somebody, let us know. I would love to talk to that person and figure out how they did it. But it's a challenging industry. It's challenging business no matter what, right? Because we ultimately we're in the leadership role for our own business, our own lives, our own income all the time, every day. There's nowhere to pass that off to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Okay, so let's roll into Form 127 and kind of give the people what the overview of what that looks like.
Yeah.
All right, Form 127. And I said to Jen, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this in the past, but it's such an important piece that it needs to be addressed, right? It needs to be, not again, but it just needs to be brought to attention and so forth. Jen, give us that kind of high level view of what it is, and then we'll kind of get into how we can use it, why we use it, how it's going to protect not only our seller and our buyers, but us as realtors. So give us that high level view.
Yeah. So Form 127 is the form that basically states that the buyer is acknowledging that they are not putting certain conditions into their offer. So real quick, high level of how we would use this is in a multiple offer situation, or even in just a competitive market situation where we might want to submit a firm offer. We want to make sure that we have in writing that our buyer is aware that they're choosing not to put those conditions in, and that it's their choice, and that it's been explained to them, and they're signing off on that. So that is ultimately the purpose of this form. It gets signed by your buyer, stays within your own brokerage, within your own files. It's not part of an offer contract. However, it allows us to have confidence that we're more protected in knowing that our client has signed it and stated, yes, I understand that this is what I'm doing.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And a use case for that is just as Jen explained there, in a multiple offer situation or competitive offer situation, you want to go in with your offer and you want to remove your conditions. So essentially it's a firm offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And typically we send offers without the inspection without the inspection condition. That's really where this Form 127 really encompasses that protection well. We just leave it off there. And potentially what could happen is you're awarded the house by the end of the evening, and your offer was accepted. In a month or two, it closes, and there was no inspection happened, and perhaps there's some latent defect, or an inspection would have picked up that the basement floods or anything like that. There may be a recourse for the buyer to come to you and ask you to fix this, or be compensated, or sue you, heaven forbid, all that. And this is just a document that says, as Jen explains, we as the buyer are well aware that we are not putting an inspection clause in, and this is what it means to us. Right. And it also forces the agent to have that in-depth conversation, which I think many agents aren't happening, Jen. I don't know about you, but I don't think they're having those deep conversations. So to explain, if you don't put an inspection clause in, this is what it means.
Yeah, I think that not only are agents not having it and not explaining what it means to the client, they're not following up on the discussion. There's no follow-up to say, hey, like in a written format, to say, hey, I just wanted to confirm that we are okay to remove the home inspection, the financing, whatever insurance, whatever other kind of conditions you may or may not be using, and that you understand, it's been explained to you, and that you understand what that means, right? Because this, as much as, we're kind of getting into a weird gray area, but as much as this form will protect you, that email will double down on that protection, or that text message, once they confirm it, right? So a lot of agents are not having that discussion at all. And from what we see, whether it's offers on our listings or whatever, agents are just emailing paperwork through Authentisign or web forms saying, sign this, and then submitting it without having any discussion with their clients about what it means, what the terms are, what the end result could be. And ultimately, as a buyer's agent, we're not providing the best level of service, or even fulfilling our fiduciary duties at that level. We're also not providing any due diligence in order to keep our clients as protected as possible. So any issues that arise from that, RICO will put that right back on you, just like that, if you haven't done all of those extra steps, right? And hopefully that doesn't ever happen to any agent out there, but we hear stories about it. We know it does happen. And these are simple steps and methods already in place to protect you. So just use them, right? There's no need to debate it if it's going to protect everybody.
Yeah, exactly. The I just realized that this whole time your video was reversed.
No.
Anyways, it's all good. All the words behind you, the win-win or no deal, was in some other language to me because it was backwards. However, okay, so circling back, you bring up an amazing point here, Jen, too. Through Authentisign or e-signatures, it's kind of removed a level of our service, if you will, meaning where, there were days where we would sit down with the purchase and sale agreement and actually go through it and what it means and why you're signing here and things like that. And with e-signatures today, it's almost that, here, I'm just going to send you a document. You just click, and it's signed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the fact that we can send the documents electronically shouldn't remove the fact that we're still required to review and explain the paperwork. But the convenience of it definitely has. I don't think we can say otherwise. I think that's a very true thing. And I know in coaching and all that, we talk about this a lot, like review your paperwork, set up a time. You can send it to them electronically, but then set up a time, get on a Zoom call, go through it with them, share a screen, make sure they understand it, that you're explaining it to them before they sign it. That's still our job, right? That's still a part, whether we do it electronically or in person shouldn't matter. But it's probably one of the things with the amount of technology that's happened in our business so quickly over the last few years, which is a weird thing to say, but it's kind of true, that a lot of that has gotten left behind, a lot of that level of service or that protection or that. And yeah, it can be really detrimental if you can't prove that you did explain those things, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
Mhm.
yeah, the other day I realized to myself, if I just send this offer, he's not going to sit there on his phone reading the details of the offer,
No,
right?
no.
Send it, download it, send it to them, talk over the phone with them, your
Yeah.
client, Zoom call. I love that idea. Yeah. And
Yeah.
don't hide behind the e-signatures. I think that's what you and I are trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like assuming someone's going to read the terms and conditions of an iPhone, right? They're probably not going to do it unless you make them do it. And then that's not because they don't want to, or they just don't understand, or they just trust you and go, okay, like I'm sure it's good, right? And different personalities lean more one way or the other. You get the people that will read the entire document, and you get the people that will just go click, 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 and then send it and not even look at the details, right? So you have to buffer for all of those different client types and make sure that you're protecting them, because ultimately that's why they're hiring us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
So use Form 127, and then even bigger than that, circle back with your clients, explain the paperwork, make sure they understand that.
Mhm.
As I said, Jen said, don't hide behind the e-signatures, and make sure that people are all on the same page, as it were.
Mhm.
Beautiful, Jen. This was a fun show. I like it. I like
Yeah,
it.
it was. It's nice. It was nice getting to know Nathan a little bit more too. And are we going to do another guest on the next one? Is that kind of the plan, or?
I think so. I think we should. I think
I
we
think we
should.
should too.
We,
Yeah, I
we
like
haven't
it.
we haven't done that in a while. So we've got something really cool lined up for tomorrow, and I'm gonna just grab that and see if I can put it on the screen here, Jen. Will this work?
Hmm.
Let me just see. Oh no, I got to do it like this. Here we go. I don't know what's gonna happen. Boom. There we go. I'll make it smaller though. I think. So there we go. Tomorrow, if you're with KWRC, or if you're not, reach out to Jen and I. We are getting access to pre-construction. A lot of our agents and a lot of our clients love to invest in pre-construction, and we are just adding to the availability of units that we have. And we're going to be working with Tora Yordanov, a close friend of mine, but also one of the top condo agents in the GTA. And he's going to share with us tomorrow over Zoom how best to sell condos and promote condos to your clients, and then more importantly, how to gain them the access that they're looking for. So this is going to be a great opportunity tomorrow, Jen. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I love this. And it's content that we don't hear too often, right? So I'm excited to kind of pick up some of the tips or tricks that someone who's as experienced as him has learned along the way, what to look for, how to navigate it for our clients at the best way. So yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah. And he shared with me a few kind of tips and secrets in the past, and I've implemented them, and it has changed the way that, when I was doing pre-construction, how I did it. And it is way easier than you think it is. I got to leave it at that.
I like
Trust me,
that nugget.
right? It is
Yes.
when
Yeah.
I heard it and then implemented it, and I'm like, are you
Yeah.
serious? That's all we need to do?
Mm.
Boom. It just changed my whole outlook on it. And it'll change your business too if this is something you want to implement. And it is really, Jen, you're gonna love and hate this all at the same time. It is really easy to implement. So there you go.
I
That's
I don't
the
know why I would hate that.
I
I
don't know.
love
I don't
that.
know. I don't know.
That's just music to my ears. Now I just want to know what it is.
Yeah. Come tomorrow, find out. And trust me, your clients will benefit from this type of training for sure. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's tomorrow. We got a few other things, lined up over the next few weeks and early December. KWRC Wealth Mastery, that's coming back in early December with stock options. So looking forward to that, and many more things down the road. So there we go, Jen. That's today's show.
Awesome. I love it. Oh, and I believe actually before we jump off too, Kirby Chan is also teaching a class tomorrow afternoon, right? On business planning with your family. So kind of the same concept as business planning, but on a family basis versus on like a real estate kind of basis, which is extremely intriguing. I've never heard of it being taught in that from that position before. So if you're interested in learning about that or talking about business planning with your family unit, then make sure you tune into that. I think it's at 2:30. It's pretty right after this one, right?
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Yeah. So that'll be a good one too. And again, I love the mix of content we're starting to get. And I know that some of the wealth building stuff coming down the line is going to be really interesting. Some of the stuff that's lined up for now in January and onward. So I'm excited about that.
Very good. So for Nathan Graham earlier, and of course, Jennifer Silbernagel, I'm Gary McGowan, and you can always catch us on your favorite podcast player of a choice. We'll see everybody real soon and on the next show. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.